Hey everyone, today's guide is one that we're really proud to have collaborated with Riot Games Latin America. If you speak Spanish, then check out the link in the description. Enjoy! Welcome to today's guide. Here we'll be analysing the legendary ISG Seiya, famously known as the best mid laner in Latin America thanks to his incredible ability to make the best decisions possible, even in high pressure situations, backed up by his insane mechanics. We'll be breaking down Seiya's lane phase, playing LeBlanc vs Talon in Challenger solo queue. Talon is a champion that is renowned for either shoving you in and roaming on your teammates, or straight up killing you when you try to contest his push, leaving you feeling helpless. So let's see how Seiya effortlessly controls the lane to not only counter Talon's strengths, but you will also learn concepts that will help you safely maintain lane pressure and not give your opponent a chance to roam. First, let's break down the matchup. Talon wins straight up in damage, but LeBlanc has more range, so she'll be able to look for opportunities to harass and win trades that way. For wave clear, Talon wins from level 1, but his wave clear lead gets stronger as he gets more points in W, and spikes when he gets Tiamat. With this in mind, Seiya's missions will be: Mission 1, push the lane. This may sound weird, given that LeBlanc has less wave clear, but she can use her range advantage to get the push by punishing Talon if he uses W on the wave. Mission 2, pressure last hits. When Talon goes for CS, LeBlanc will want to pressure him away from it. She can't punish each last hit because she loses on damage, but she can threaten Talon, which doesn't sound like much of a game plan, but we'll explain this later as we get into it. Mission 3, prevent Talon from roaming. By executing on missions 1 and 2, LeBlanc's end goal should be to deny Talon the possibility to roam effectively on the map. If she also denies CS, it will delay Talon's Tiamat purchase, snowballing her lane pressure. Let's get into it. First off, there's an invade which leads to Talon using flash and delaying his arrival to lane by 10 seconds. This is nice, but it didn't change anything moving forward, though that's why Talon is late, and it does get a nice start on mission 1 for LeBlanc. So what if Talon was here? Normally if he was here, he would wait for these melees to get low, push all the way up and W the entire wave. In return, Seiya would use W on Talon and proc electrocute. Instead, Talon gets W onto just the melees. And then Seiya collects his CS and punishes this last hit from Talon with a W into 2 autos proccing electrocute for mission 2. This is great from Seiya and is a typical early health lead you can enjoy when proactively harassing and trading as a range versus melee matchup. The important thing to note here though is that both champions are level 1, so by Wing onto Talon's face while his W is down, Talon can't trade back yet since he doesn't have his Q. Seiya knows that when Talon gets level 2, he could easily get all in if he goes over aggressive, which we'll talk more about in a moment. Anyway, we now see Seiya move up and apply a high level yet simple concept that you can apply, which will allow him to complete mission 1, push the lane, despite having less wave clear than his opponent. Seiya positions aggressively and to the side of the wave to pressure Talon away from the minion wave. What Talon wants to do is walk up right around here and get a W on the entire wave over and over, shoving LeBlanc in. Seiya says no, as he has the range advantage and will destroy Talon if he walks up for a W by pushing around here in line with his melees, but not inside his own wave. Not only does this deny Talon the opportunity to hit a W on the entire wave, but it makes him decide between hitting LeBlanc or the wave, not both at the same time. This is an excellent way to build up a slow push against melee champions, zoning them away from the wave and baiting their spells to be used on you and not the wave. It's great to utilize this concept when you're able to pressure your opponent by moving up. In this case, he can do this because he has a range and poke lead versus Talon, and if he was versus say Echo, that would still be the case. But let's say that you're playing Victor versus Xerath, where you have less range, less wave clear, but more damage. You could still apply the same concept by pushing up, forcing his spells onto you, and then winging the trade with your superior damage. Or if they choose to hit the wave instead of you, then you can get an even bigger health lead to deny them from pushing. Ideally, Seiya would have dodged this W, but it was still good as mission 1 is now in full effect. Speeding it up, we can see that he continues to play pushed up to the side of his wave and baiting out Talon's W, while denying him the opportunity to push up once again. While at this point it's not possible for Talon to push the wave back, he does want to thin the wave as much as possible so he doesn't get overwhelmed under his tower with a large wave. But Seiya's forward pressure for mission 2 forces him to use W to get the odd last hit from afar. This may sound simple now that we're highlighting it, but most players tend to stay further back while last hitting, which would allow Talon more freedom to move forward and get more value from his Ws, which is what he wants to do. With mission 1 a success so far, Seiya W's forward to pick up a couple of last hits and it sticks around to proc electrocute right away. This may seem slightly inefficient as LeBlanc's W is expensive and a long cooldown, but it was actually very intelligent from Seiya. Thinking back to earlier where Seiya landed her W directly onto Talon at level 1, we can now see that Talon is level 2. Seiya will begin to respect his all-in potential, which is something that most players struggle with. When you have a minion and health lead, it can be easy to overstep and get all-in'd by volatile assassins while you're trying to abuse your ranged lead. Seiya knows if he gets too close and looks for Ws onto Talon, he could easily get all-in'd now that Talon's Q is available. So instead, he trades with the safety of his minions, pulling back right after proccing electrocute, leaving Talon with no counterplay. He continues pushing up and pressuring last hits, and now we see Ornn jungle, yes you heard that right, fight with the enemy Lee Sin for Scuttle Crab. Lee is obviously the stronger early game jungler, so Seiya backs off instead of playing aggressively for missions 1 and 2. Let's see what happens. Alright, so that was really annoying from the Lee Sin, and this is something that's becoming more and more common from strong early game junglers. It's commonly referred to as the transition gank, where the stronger early game jungler will attempt to take both scuttles. They will do this usually by taking 2 camps and then the first scuttle. After that, they path directly through mid to claim the second scuttle. This is because it's fast, and also they can soak 2 minions of experience in the mid lane, which will give them level 3. Seiya was clearly ready for the transition gank, but with some creative pathing from Lee, he was able to land some damage and hit level 3 as well by soaking a couple of minions. With the threat of Lee passing, Seiya will now continue on all 3 missions and start healing up with Corrupting Potion. This seems small, but in volatile matchups where your opponent has all-in kill pressure, you always want to stay at around 70% health or higher. Lesser players will often hold onto their potions and let themselves drop lower, giving the enemy a free kill window. Alright, so as we see, Seiya starts to push out the lane again over the next 20 seconds. You will notice he's holding onto his W the entire time instead of using it on the wave. Why do you think that Seiya is not pushing the remaining minions with his W for mission 1? We put this question in here to test your mastery on what we have taught so far in this guide. Seiya is still holding onto his W to pressure Talon, rather than to try and wave clear. Even though he has the pushing wave, he doesn't want to throw away his trading pressure on pushing, as he still loses in wave clear, and it would only allow Talon to push up and start getting big Ws on the wave, which is what he's looking for. So he stays forward with his positioning, pushing his range advantage and keeping Talon in check to deny him from getting off free roams for mission 3. Instead of trying to harass Talon when he goes to last hit, notice how LeBlanc is faking aggression. This is a high level tactic that Seiya has been applying so far to achieve mission 2. He moves his character back and forth at the max distance of Talon's W, which has a range of 650. He walks closer to act like he's going to harass Talon, but then he walks away. It's essentially a bluff. This baits him into wasting his W on Seiya instead of last hitting the minion. The key to Seiya staying safe is that he's always outside of Talon's Q range of 575, which is his main form of engage. This is a way to apply pressure without the risk that comes with actually trading with strong opponents that can all in, like Aurelia and Fizz. We're now about to see the huge payoff from Seiya's game plan and execution from the lane phase so far. Let's take a look. Alright, so that may have looked like Ornn is just smurfing and Seiya picked up 2 free kills. That's kind of true, But look at this, both Talon and LeBlanc arrived to the jungle fight at around the same time. This is a direct result of Seiya's intelligent game plan to keep Talon in check and be able to deny him from roaming freely from the start. If LeBlanc did not prevent Talon from pushing the lane constantly, then LeBlanc would have been shoved in during this fight, resulting in Talon being the one picking up a free kill. On a roam, an average LeBlanc would not match. Okay, let's see how Seiya snowballs this double buff double kill lead to snowball this lane phase. He pushes the lane for a quick recall, and he sees Talon head top after shoving a wave during this time. This is the first moment that Talon's being able to do what he actually wants to do. But even with 3 enemies top, Seiya decides that he's more than strong enough to follow the roam and pick up another 2 kills, leaving him 4-0 at 5 minutes. That's going to be it for this one. Please let us know in the comments if you have any questions about Seiya's game plan and what you would like to see from us next. We have a lot more of these coming out for you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.